and in your ability to look at other emotional perspectives, because shifting a cognitive perspective is nice. That means you're a swift thinker. It's not going to make you successful. It's not enough, especially in the age of AI. Most of you will know that already, that the thinking capacity has totally moved into embodiment capacity. Since AI is on the rise much faster, it's just accelerated the place totally. And what does that mean for us human beings? Today I've brought you a couple things to start with this, to frame the whole thing. What is consciousness research? What does it have to do with leadership? How is it applicable in everyday work settings, business settings, purpose settings? I speak mostly about purpose because business is just an application of purpose. You can also have your purpose in your love life, but we're here all to study business in that sense, so focus on that. But purpose in itself is something that all of us embody in some way. You want to feel purposeful with what you do. And there is a very big distinction in people that makes them successful or not. And we're going to talk a lot about success today and what it actually means to you. And one of these key factors is what you can see here on the slides, that's growth mindset. What is growth mindset? Growth mindset is actually the ability to change perspective swiftly. Not to have an opinion, that's nice, everybody has them, but to be able to change. And that means that you're very agile in your emotional world and in your ability to look at other emotional perspectives, because shifting a cognitive perspective is nice. That means you're a swift thinker. It's not going to make you successful. It's not enough, especially in the age of AI. Most of you will know that already, that the thinking capacity has totally moved into embodiment capacity. Since AI is on the rise much faster, it's just accelerated the place totally. And what does that mean for us human beings? That means that when you're smart, that's the bottom line. Like, there's no way, you have to be smart to be successful, but everybody's smart. You wouldn't be here if you weren't smart. But the question is, can you walk your talk? And that means if you know something, if you heard something, anything, let's say you have a project idea and you think it's a good idea to whatever you do, to do this. The question is, can you bring it into life? Do you have the capacities, the bandwidth, the skill, and the mindset? And mindset doesn't mean there. Mindset means everywhere. And I have a beautiful colleague in the United States. He is writing newsletters, about 5 a week, plenty. And one of these newsletters had the gorgeous headline, News Alert, brains have bodies. And what he's playing at there is neuroscience, because we don't just think with our minds. Walking the talk from the perspective of consciousness research means embodied. And I'm going to go much more into that. I know I said it a lot and you still don't know what I mean with it exactly. Give me some time here. I'm getting into it. So patterns of success to walk your talk. The first thing is values. Everybody knows values. Can you guys just give me quickly some of your values, just popcorn style? Say it out loud.
Justice.
Yes?
Fairness.
Yeah?
Equality.
Thank you.
Freedom.
Yes? So, values. What are your values? Like the top 3 values, what would that be? If you have a torch in hand, what do you stand for? There's 3 things on it. What's it? And if you find that value, if you know your values, that's what's that's motivating you subconsciously. So you said integrity. Here,
Yeah.
right straight. Okay, so integrity is going to motivate you more than money. So if you know your values, but you have integrity as a value and you want to make money and somebody's going to offer you a job, a fantastic business possibility, but it's not in your integrity because you feel like you will have to do something that just feels wrong. You're not going to go there, however much money they offer you. And see, this is the thing. If you have your values down, you know what you're subconsciously motivated by. So top 3 values, and that's the funnest task. I put this in all the big boardrooms with all those leaders who lead large corporations. Nobody knows their counter values. That's news to everybody. What's a counter value? A counter value is at the same stick, the other end. So What's on the other end of the same stick of freedom? So you have freedom as a value, yeah?
So I would say, I mean, the obvious assumption is that you have like freedom and in freedom, like being present.
Yeah.
But I would go to safety and security on the other side of the story.
Very good. The other side of freedom is actually connection. So you know when you're driven, you have a project, and everybody in that space with you. Let's say you're 4 people, you do the project together, and you just want to have it done your way. That means if you're insisting on your freedom to do it your way, you will lose connection. So every time you have a value, there's always a counter value, and that's the other good thing on the same stick. It's nothing bad. It's just something that kind of, it's also not binary. You're not fully in freedom all the time, because then you would never be connected. You understand what I'm on about? Why is that important? Because if you stick to values, yes?
Because you want to know what you don't stand for.
Yes, very good. You want to know what you don't stand for, and you also want to integrate the other side. Because if you're not standing for connection, that doesn't really necessarily make a good leader. But if you only stand for connection, but you never stand for freedom, it's the same thing. You'll never get anything beyond the harmonious wanting to do things together done. The second term here is self-generated agency. What's that? In this space, in this room, there will be about 10 to maybe 30% of people who have a drive to get stuff done. That's self-generated agency. And after you've worked with each other for a while, you know who that is. It's natural leaders, because they're like, chop, chop, let's do this. And you don't need to motivate them. And others of you will be always a little bit more in the backseat, more witnessing. And that's another role in the space. Self-generated agency in this matrix that we're living in is the one thing that people are longing for to get stuff done. What's a little bit forgotten in that role, when you have that, is that sitting with the problem a little longer and not just running and doing stuff without having everybody's opinion, values, whatever, everybody's take on things, is often forgetting people. And if you have very driven leaders, think Elon Musk, a lot of self-generated agency, but he's forgetting half the world half the time because he wants his stuff done. That's A, freedom, and B, a lot of self-generated agency. And he has his people in space who do the other thing. They sit with the problem because he wants to run and he knows he can't, because otherwise he's making mistakes. So those people who are rather witnessing and basically contemplating stuff are perfectly teaming up with those who have a lot of self-generated agency. And the older you get, the more integrated you become. You want to cultivate both things in you. You don't want to be somebody who always has to be motivated to get stuff done. You want to be able to motivate yourself. But you also don't want to be the person just sitting around, sitting with the problem all the time, because eventually you end up being what people call complainers. Because they just see the problem and never go towards the solution. So that's another thing you can do with your body. So if you have the person sitting with the problem here and the person running for the solution here, where are you? Really good to know. Do I have agency as compared to sitting with it? Ideally, you're in the middle. That's people who are very integrated, who get stuff done, but they have enough complexity thinking capacities to actually not forget too much, but they don't get lost in detail. So that's self-generated agency versus the ability to witness complexity. Self-observation, we're already deep in that. The moment I enter the room, I always, I inspire people to self-observe, because that's what I do with my living. I put all these questions out there. So you're in a project, in some certain kind of, university work, the stuff that you guys do. Can you observe yourselves in that space while you're doing it? We are the only animals on this planet who have so much space between their ears that they can actually have a certain awareness of what they're doing. We are the only aware animals. That means we have the capability to observe ourselves while we are alive. No other animal can do that. They're unaware. They're pure instinct. And we have so much cognition that we can watch ourselves being alive. And that is, all these questions that I'm putting out are basically there to make you more aware. And awareness, that's consciousness per se. That's basically the definition. And the more aware you become, the more chance you have to embody what you want to do, because you're like, oh, I'm in this end of the stick again, whichever stick it is that you're currently pondering. And I should be more connected, or I actually should do my own thing here. I'm always with these people, they never get anything. Oh, can I just say no and do this? That's a permission thing, you know? The awareness is helping you to move forward into your growth edges. What's a growth edge? Well, that's where you are outside of your comfort cage. I don't call it comfort zone, I call it comfort cage, because we so like to stay in it. And sometimes you just need to push out. And embodied purpose, that's one thing that you all know. When you're doing the thing that you love most, things that you do not get applause for, no, there's no result in that sense that people are actually clapping or saying, wow, you've done this great. You're just doing it for yourself. And I have a question for you. It's the best question to understand what my personal purpose is. What you did when you were a kid, like ideally under the age of 7 or 8. What was the thing that you liked to do most without mommy or daddy or whoever was in the place caring for you, saying, oh my God, this is so great. You didn't need any confirmation, you just did it for hours, you lost yourself in it. And it might be building something or making something pretty or whatever it is, that is your embodied purpose. And the thing is to translate that onto your adult life is what's going to make you the most successful person. I've always tried to make sense when I was little. I always tried to put things together, puzzle things out. And in the end, I became a consciousness researcher, which I'm still a kid, basically. All day long, I do what I love, I puzzle things out, and I'm like, and how does it feel, and why is it like that, and in this big space, and why they're doing, etc. So if you know what you love to do as a kid, for yourself, without anybody motivating you by praise, because that's already basically tainting you that's going to hone your competencies, but not your purpose. Your purpose is without applause. It's just you in your flow. So motivational transparency. We've had a lot of words here earlier, and they're all about motivational transparency. Because if you know why you want to do something, you become, and I'm sorry, I'm using the word unfuckwithable. Which means if I know why I'm doing something, I understand why I'm getting myself into things, and I can also get myself out of things anymore. And and I don't like the word war on attention, about attention, for attention, but I don't know how else to phrase it. If you come up with something better, please tell me. There's a big fight for everybody's attention. We all know that. All the social media stuff, everybody is loud trying to sell you something. And we're tempted all the time for our attention and our buying power, because that's how economy works. And to understand what am I tempted by is one of the most important things for you being responsible for your own life, because otherwise you're just doing what everybody else tells you because you put the one thing 10 times in front of you and like, okay, let's have it. That's basically manipulation. That's why I say you become unfuckwithable only if you know how you're motivated. And your action always follows your thought always follows your emotion, and your emotion follows your meaning. What does that mean? Meaning is a somatic experience. Sense-making capacity is something that's stored in the body. We think that we make a decision because of our thoughts, but behind that is what we feel, and behind that is the sense we make with our senses. And that's neuroscience on the deepest level. So to understand what is making sense to me, there's a good detail to understand that the first thing that makes sense in the world of a human being is the smell of the mother. That's embodied sense-making. And from that, we develop all other senses. The next thing that makes sense is the people around us. You know, your core family, doesn't matter if it was a father and a mother or other people who looked after you. But those 3-5 people is what made sense for you all the way into growing up. And a value makes sense so much later down the line. So to understand how am I actually motivated underneath oh, I really like this person and I want to be with them and I don't care much if we do this project or that. I just enjoy the company. That's understanding your motivational transparency. Because the way you're motivated underneath is the only thing that creates your reality. So we believe, lots of you will have heard that, we believe that reality is something that we all experience here. 3% is what we share. 97% is our inner world being projected outwards. And that's the latest statistics, and it gets worse and worse. Like 5 years ago it was 95% subconscious, now it's 97. 3% is what we agree on here as shared reality. The rest is your inner experience, like projected outwards. So to understand, oh, I'm motivated by that, and that is going to make you understand yourself. The Oracle of Delphi, one of the 3 things, know thyself. Everybody, so many scientists and philosophers have said that, know thyself, know to understand what makes sense for me.